Welcome to Sherapy Sessions, Cutting Toxic Family Ties. My name is Dr. Sherry Campbell, and I'm your host. I am a leading expert in the niche of toxic family abuse, and although my show cannot substitute for therapy, it is a survivor-based show. In me, you're not only going to get an expert, but you're also going to get a survivor, as I have also survived toxic family abuse. I know how hard it is. The goal I have is to give voice to the voiceless, to provide skills to help you to protect your peace, to stand your solid ground, and to navigate and heal the heartbreaks caused by toxic family. Please have a pen and paper available to give voice to your thoughts as you listen to each show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your bravery. So let the healing begin. Welcome back, everybody, to Sherapy Sessions, Cutting Toxic Family Ties. I am here with someone I love dearly. I've been on her show. I think we did like a 3-part series on your show.
3 parts.
Yep. And all things toxic family. So we'll put some links to those shows in our show notes so that if you want to go back and listen. But anybody that I really connect with, I definitely want to have on my show and interview them in return, because I think it's wonderful to help each other, but also to help this community of toxic family dynamics. And Jennifer grew up swimming in them. So we are going to let Jennifer tell us who she is and what she does for a living, and then we'll dive into all the great questions.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. I love you. We became instant soul sisters, and we did. We did a 3-part series, and you came into my life at a time that was so imperative, that you truly helped me navigate and save me from the abyss as to which it was becoming. So we are forever connected because of that.
Yes. We are.
Yeah.
So it is an abyss. And that's something that maybe we can dive into and circle back to. Tell us what you do, because I find you so interesting. I'm also a very spiritual person. We just were talking before the show. I'm a certified human design analyst. It's not something I talk about much, and I'm actually very out of practice. But we were talking about stuff like that. And Jennifer does really incredible things, especially for my more spiritual people. So Jennifer, tell us.
So I am what I like to say, a multi-passionate entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur at that. And so I definitely am a spiritual thought leader. So I help guide people on their spiritual path through transformation and empowerment, and through a various, like, you have a wonderful toolbox. I have an amazing toolbox, having been a celebrity trainer, a spiritual advisor, being a renowned Reiki master healer, being a podcaster, all of the things that over the years that my platform has expanded and allowed me to do, on top of helping especially empaths and highly sensitive people on their spiritual journey. Because there is no book. Well, there's more books now. When I really started, there was no book. And it's nice to have a guide by your side, not someone telling you what to do, but someone guiding you through, because they've been through it. And so I love that. I love the spiritual community. I love being able to help. Being an empath myself, it's so important. And having navigated and been blessed to have met you, I believe it'll be 2 years, I think. It'll be 2 years this fall that we met each other. And to be able to unite our fronts has been nothing short of an incredible, miraculous blessing.
I believe so too. And thank you for that. With my toolbox being my books, being a psychologist, and now sort of a public figure that I sort of accidentally became, it is really wonderful to meet like-minded people and people who've had the same experience. I think that coming together and bringing this together too in a new way, because at the core, what I find at the core of all trauma for most people is family. For most, I'm not saying all, but for most, if you listen to any interview from anyone, any expert, it will all come down to family.
Yeah.
Outside of those that had amazing families, like Elizabeth Smart, for example, who had an amazing family and then she was kidnapped and that trauma. But I think she survived that trauma, because I've read all of her books, in a way that I never would have, because I didn't have a family that I felt would have done anything near her family did, or that I would really feel would have wanted me to come home to. So I think that the universal thing that we have is wounding from family. And I kind of believe that we have soul contracts with these people. I look at every toxic family member of mine as a life class that I have to pass. I don't get to decide how they pass. They're my teacher. I'm their teacher. I don't get to decide what kind of student they are, but I absolutely get to decide what kind of student I am and what kind of life I want to live. And I think that in putting no contact out there as an expert in the literature based on family, it created a tidal wave that I wasn't anticipating. And so many people like you caught it and saw it and was like, yes, this is valid. How has your boundaries or the cutting of ties with your family changed your life?
It's been amazing. It's been quiet and peaceful and healing. There have been moments, and I have shared with you, where certain individuals have popped up on social media or whatever to badger, harass, extort money, whatever it may be. It happens. And, I also look at every moment as a blessing and a lesson in it. And so how it kept happening, like you said, these people were my teachers. There was no more reaction. It just became like, really? You're just looking at something for what it is in black and white. What it did for me was, once I was able to cut out the toxicity and kind of stop the noise, because I was giving and giving and giving, right? The empath, the people pleaser. I was self-sacrificing, to everyone else. But I also was brought up that way, as was everyone else in my family. So, right, generational, it went down. That's all they knew. So then that's all I knew until I knew better. And you and I are big believers that once you know better, then you damn well better do better. That's on you then at that point. You have that choice. And so for me, it took me down this. It wasn't like, oh, wonderful, let's cut everyone off and have a wonderful day. It wasn't that. It was, and you saw, it was a lot of emotions. It was very hard. The healing that I've been able to do, though, has been imperative. It has truly transformed my life personally, my work, how I'm able to show up for my clients, how I'm able to show up for myself, just to be able to discern better what I want in my life, what I don't want in my life. There's so many, I can say so many thank yous now for those hard lessons that have turned into blessings now. My boundaries that I have are beautiful and amazing. And it has taken me to a place of getting to know my shadow side. I knew my light side, and she was there, and she can be a fairy and she can be all that. But my shadow side is a badass. Now it's like, oh yeah, you can watch. I joked the other day with a friend. I said, you can watch me ride my unicorn, but I dare you to cross my path. It's there. And it doesn't mean you don't think about people. It doesn't mean that something might not still always be there as a trigger, whatever it may be. And when that happens, that's your time to go, okay, how am I feeling in this moment? Why am I feeling this way? What's going on? What do I need to address? Life is ever evolving. This is Earth School, as are we. And so, I did in the moment what I was guided to do and what I needed to do for the highest and best interest of myself. And
yeah, and I think whatever is in the best interest of ourselves is also then in the best interest of other people. Right. I want to circle back to something you said, because I think it's really important. In psychological literature, when you read your shadow self, it is nearly framed as this very shameful part of who you are and not a badass. And I think that we need to flip the narrative on that one as well. Yes, we all have the things that we need to look at, and we have our bright personalities and we have our bad days. But our shadow self isn't a bad person. It's not a shameful person. The shadow self for me is what says enough is enough. No is no. I am done. And it's not that you even have to get dark. You have to get powerful. And I think that most people overuse fear, anxiety, and sadness. And we underuse assertiveness or anger. Well, sadness is not going to set a boundary for you. Fear is not going to set a boundary for you. And anxiety is absolutely not going to set a boundary for you, but anger will, assertiveness will. And that I love how you frame that as you have a badass. And I want everyone that's listening to understand, if you've done shadow work, it's kind of like a one-way street in the psychological world. But I think in the spiritual world, or the spiritual mindset, the existential space, this is your inner badass. And it's nothing for you to be ashamed of. And it honestly will not get activated unless it's triggered. So if that part of you gets activated, it's not just because you feel like being mad, or you feel like just deciding, I'm just going to lop off a limb today.
Oh.
Just going to go, you're going to lop off a family limb today. That's not what it's about. It is about self-preservation. And the thing about healing is that I was always seeking very spiritually. I was not raised in religion. Religion actually very much scared me from the two experiences I did have. And that does not mean that there are many people who have very beautiful religious experiences, but I personally didn't. And I found it very scary. I was a very imaginative child and still am very imaginative. But I think that as I started very, very young, really wanting to understand good and bad, dark and light. And I have always been seeking because I was in so much fucking pain that I had to find a reason to stay here. And as soon as the ties were cut, and I always say I was lucky because I was cut off, but I didn't mend the fence. I started really healing after about 2 years of going through full-blown no contact, horrible smear campaign. There's 2 to 4 years that I was still sort of treading water, but my own life was getting quieter and quieter. And the other thing it did is it showed me how capable I was of being independent of this family. And this family never wanted me to believe that. This family wanted me manipulated financially. This family wanted me as the scapegoat. This family has wanted many things from me. And I'm so grateful now that I was the scapegoat, because that shadow self saved my life. And like you said, my healing really couldn't begin until that negative, going into my body, and even a small drip of it was enough to take me down.
Oh, 100%. I can remember years ago, actually, it was back in 1997 when I was in a car accident, and it was very traumatic. And I was in and out of doctor's offices 8 hours a day, seeing every sort of doctor you can imagine. And that there was this poignant moment where a doctor looked at me and said, "You've never lived in your body." Now, I was in my late 20s. In that moment, I had no idea what he meant. In that moment, though, and when I look back, I know that he realized that I was in so much trauma from the accident. There was no way he could open up that other Pandora box as to why haven't I lived in my life? Why haven't I lived in my body? And it was through this healing process that I've been going through that I understood, oh my gosh, my imaginary life that I had, never living in my body, because it hurt to be in my body. I didn't like to be in my body. I would jump out of my body in a second I could, because it was so uncomfortable, throughout the years of growing up and the different trauma that I was exposed to and the situations and all that kind of stuff. And when you begin to live in your body, it's a whole new world. And that is when you can embrace your badass self. To me, that's me picking up my sword and going, I dare you. To me, Archangel Michael is standing right by my side. And he's like, yeah, we dare you. Please, one step closer. Please, one step closer, please. Because I am aware, I am very empowered in who I am, what I embody, why I am here, which is so important. I work with all my clients on this. If you don't know why you're here, then you don't know what you're doing. You got to know why you're here. What is your mission? And then you can say, okay, well, how can I align with that? That is so empowering. And once you can get there, and when I look back now, and even just thinking about it out loud right now, it's like, how many tests did I have to pass to step into this place? Good Lord. I mean, I was getting taken out every right, every left turn that I could take. And so it's a blessing that I am here, that I have survived all that I've survived.
Yeah, you really are. And I think that, you know, I love the idea of, like I look at myself, yes, I'm a psychologist, but I look at myself more like Mick for Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I'm a coach, I'm a life coach. There isn't an athlete out there that succeeds without a great coach, right? So I think that your skill set, my skill set, but something to pull this together is we have both lived through hell and
Mhm.
back. And I used to question like how much longer? I mean, it was 42 years of just getting browbeaten my entire life by my family, and then another 3 years with my mother. And I would always like, when is the end? It came, and I created that ending. Although I was cut off, that was always the game, and I ran out of some level of bandwidth to ever go back again. And my abuse now was being like horrible reactions to just minor infractions. I'm like, if I'm going to get abused over this, what kind of car I have? Like, and now it's going to just turn into everything. Right. But I do think that the journey brings me, I lived a lot in my head because being in my head, I could escape the body. I could escape my life essentially. I think sometimes people don't know what it means to be in your body. My best explanation for it, and then I want you because you're the expert in this area, not me. But for me, as a layperson in being in my body, I've been an elite athlete my entire life. So running is like the only time I don't think. And that is when I'm really in my body, right? But I would also say that getting out of my body and into my head, I think helped me survive my childhood because I could disappear into books. I could disappear into movies or superheroes that I had, like Annie. Like I could disappear and then I wasn't in my world anymore. I read Little House on the Prairie, cover to cover, every single book. And that's the family I came home to, the family I wanted. Right. So for me, there was value in not being in my body as a child, but it caught up to me as an adult and then getting back in my body. And for me, that just means I feel my feet on the ground. I'm more in the now than I'm out somewhere else. Um, I know the best ways for me to be in my body. And it does make life feel a hell of a lot more grounded when you're in your body. How would you explain being in your body to people?
Yeah, that was really so poignant and really good. When you're in your body, you are grounded. When you're in your body, you can feel. You are aware of your emotions. You are feeling everything. You can taste the food that you're eating. And some people can be like, what? But no, truly, you are very present. You are aware of the sky is blue, the grass is green. All of your senses are on point, and you, in some way, shape, or form, are sort of kind of in alignment, body, mind, and spirit. Now, it might not be perfect, but it's in alignment for you in that moment in time. And that's something that we're all working and all striving to be able to keep that status quo. And it just shifts because, well, we're humans here on earth, in these spiritual
Right.
bodies. And so I would agree with you. I mean, for me, I didn't feel anything for so long. I will jump out of my, and I still practice this now. I'm so much more present in my body versus jumping out. I will now stop myself and go, wait a minute. Are you excited? Are you nervous, or are you anxious, or are you fearing? Like, what's really going on here? And I can now do it within, a good 90 seconds with myself and go,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and work
Yeah.
myself through it. And that's staying in my body. And so it's those moments where you are so empowered because you are, spiritually working with yourself, with your higher self in those moments, but to feel in your body, to really be present. I know for me, being out and my meditation is going on walks every morning, every evening. It's where I clear, and it's where I am open enough, being so present that I can receive messages from my higher self, from the universe, from God, whomever you believe in. And as freeing and as clear and as light as I feel, I'm so powerfully grounded in nature. It's the easiest way to be in your body and to ground.
Yeah, I was really blessed. I can't really say where I grew up, but I grew up in a beautiful ski resort.
Yes, you did.
Uh, yes, I did. And one of the most beautiful in the world. And I do think that the environment also helped to save my
Mhm.
life. And now here I go run in a canyon close by my house. And it does still make me feel like my feet are in dirt. I love running trails more than I love running streets. I like getting out and recognizing there's stuff outside of my office. There's stuff outside the podcast. Like there's this whole other calm life. I did when I was young. I followed a practice called City Yoga, and I went to a meditation ashram for 3 summers in a row. And meditation never got me in my body ever. I felt
Mhm.
forced. I was uncomfortable. Then I felt like I wasn't doing something good because everyone's like, meditate, meditate, meditate. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And then I became a human design analyst, and I looked at my body chart, my body graph. I'm really not designed for meditation.
Or
I need
maybe traditional meditation. Like I'm not
Yeah, I mean,
designed for traditional.
I'm like this, like the sit down crisscross applesauce. I'm not
No.
designed to sit and force myself in my body. I need to move. So movement is medicine for me. There's nothing that will change my mood more quickly than moving, and particularly moving outside, right? Getting over to the canyon that I love to run in, and bringing my puppy, and, having that time, and just music in my ears. And
Mhm.
I'm the most creative when I'm moving. I'm more in touch with my body when I'm moving, because when you run trails, you have to be very aware of where your feet are, right? Like these little things, people, if you're not doing them, you don't know how connecting they are, what they do, how grounding they are, that they actually give you a break. Some people look at that as work. I look at it as a break. Like I just get a break from having to be so mental all the time, every day, all day. And I think that, what you're saying when you say be in your body, and there's so many different ways to be in your body, right? But I think as kids, most of us were probably out of our body. If you had a toxic family, I think that the intensity of the feelings were far too much for a small child, young adult, even young teenager to handle. Because if we're cutting ties in adults, we still couldn't handle it. So imagine having all of that same stuff going into the little body of a child. Like it's not survivable, right? And I think that getting in touch with your body gets you in touch with your higher self, will get you in touch with something far more spiritual. You use a lot of spirituality in your work, and you were telling me about something you've just started doing. And so for my following that's interested in that kind of stuff, tell them what that is, and then make sure you give me the link so I can help people do that with you.
Yeah. So it's been 2 decades that I have been a spiritual practitioner, holistic practitioner, helping to heal people. I always say Pilates was the gateway, and something so fascinating. And I want to share this with you is that it happened on my walk today. And one of the message I received, I always used to say, well, Pilates was the gateway that people came to me. And then they understood my Reiki healing that was really going on and my intuitive medium messages that were coming through. And today I was told by spirit, by God, the universe, it makes me cry. It was your gateway. You are
Mhm.
so powerful. And you thought that, and it's not that Pilates isn't magical and is amazing. And so I am the rehabilitative specialist with it. It absolutely is. But they said, what you didn't understand, what was coming through your hands, what comes through your mouth, you heal like no other. And when I heard that today and I went, oh my gosh, there was a moment where I was with actually a family member a few years ago, and we were in Target, and they had banged their ankle, fell to the floor, were seeing stars, and something came over me, and I just went down and I started doing my healing on them. Just within 5 minutes, the person's looking at me going, what are you doing? And I'm like, just let it go. Let's just do this. 10 minutes later, this person is up looking at me like I have 12 heads. I'm looking at the person like they have 12 heads. There's no bruise. There's no nothing. This person isn't in pain. Feels like nothing ever happened. And we were both in amazement. And it's not to say that I haven't done amazing things in my world, but because it was a family member and because it was just the way
Mhm.
that it played out, and God in the universe reminds me, like, we wanted to show you how powerful you were. More importantly, that person needed to see how powerful you are.
And that's good because that person was in your family.
Right. And it's someone whom I will always love, but right now we do not have contact. But it was such an impactful moment. And hearing that message today, and now you bring this up. So I was always nervous to just blanketly share that. Like I was nervous for years to tell anybody that I was an intuitive medium. I didn't tell anybody. I'm a coach. I'm a coach. I happen to know things. No, I'm an incredibly, well, now renowned master Reiki healer and intuitive medium because of what I can help people through. One of my clients the other day, she goes, a session with you is like 10 years of therapy. She's like, I can't even. She's like, what you help bring me through. Now, that is not to say that therapy isn't important because, well, I too love Dr. Sherry. But it's just an example as to, I think everything is important. And for me, what I have stepped into now is bringing to the forefront my Reiki healing. And so every new moon and every full moon, which are very powerful portals, I am offering distant Reiki sessions. And so we're doing those. You can see them at my website, jenniferpilates.com, every month. They're within timing of the energetic time of the new moon and the full moon. They're 30 minutes. There's no Zoom, no tech, no nothing. You simply sign up. It's $33 a person. You sign up. You're asked a couple of questions. One is, what is your intention? Is there anything else that, I need to know? And then from there, all you have to do, wherever you are, is to receive the healing. It has been so impactful, more so than I ever thought. The feedback that I have received from it, it's as if I were doing one-on-ones with hundreds of people. And this is then the other message that I received, and you'll get a kick out of this. I was always told it's time to have a global impact. Well, like you, I never even knew what podcasting was. And it'll be 4 years this May that I have my podcast. I thought that was the global impact. And what I heard this past week was, no, that's not the global impact. You being able to do this distant healing, being able to offer it, it's something that is very reasonable as an energetic exchange. And that was my mission. It's always wanting to be able to touch as many people as possible. And 2 decades later, I'm blessed. And now that I've been shown how to step into this and to be able to offer it in such a way that it is available to so many people, should they feel the pull, it just lights me up because we need to light up this world. This world needs healing. We need cleansing. I go to people for Reiki. I do Reiki on myself. You do therapy. We all are this community. And that's the key to 2025. There is no more I. It is all we. And why Dr. Sherry's work and my work is so spectacular this year and so highlighted is this is the year that the narcissists are 100% exposed, brought out. It is a number 9 numerology year. Anything that is inauthentic is being exposed. Person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps even saying it. Like, it is just such a powerful year. So ride the wave. This is not the year to have your head in the sand. This is the year to know that you are so supportive wherever you are, whatever little step you're called to do. And today, maybe it is just to take a walk in nature. All we ask is that you be open to whatever ideas and aha moments come through.
I love that. I have a 999 this year because my birthday is April 9th. 2025 adds up to 9. And then my age adds up to 954.
Do you know what personal year you're in? Do you know about that? Okay. So in numerology, I am not a professional, but I am an enthusiast. Numerology, everyone has a personal year 1 through 9. Depending on what personal year you're in, really depends, as my mentor would say, the theme of your party. So when you know your personal year, you are completely set up to know what you're meant to do that year. So it would be a hoot and holler to find out, because if you're in a number 9 year,
I want to find out. You and I are going to talk after this.
We're going to talk after this. To do that. So it's another tool that I use with clients to help understand who you are, why you're here, what year are you in, because you deserve to be empowered within yourself and walking that path, feeling so good about who you are.
Well, and in my book, Adult Survivors of Toxic Family Members, I talk about reach far outside of psychology, right? Get your astrological chart, get your human design, do the Myers-Briggs, do different personality tests. All of those things are your answers. And if you feel like you don't know who you are, those are great ways to access. Like I'm a 6 on the Enneagram. All of those different things have made up a lot of who I was, right? It helped me to put me back together. Because when you leave a toxic family dynamic, you lead unidentified for yourself. You're identified for everybody else, pleaser, fixer, whatever it is, but you're pretty unidentified to yourself. So I could not love me until I knew me. And
Exactly. Yes.
getting to know me, whether it took all these tests or studying human design or I studied Kabbalah for like 10 years, which I absolutely love. I still love. I love the concept that there's a creator and a vessel. And I always think just open your vessel. Just open your vessel, because anxiety can just take over for me as just an undercurrent of that's my baseline. I don't know anything different. That's how I was raised. That's the emotional volume set point that I have. So when I start to feel it rumbling, I'm like, just open your vessel. This year so far for me has been really powerful. I've had a really powerful start to the year. I got a new book accepted for publishing. It is my favorite book I've ever written. It's totally metaphorical. The podcast is doing fantastic, and lots of other just really great things. I went viral for the first time. I'm doing a whole series on the low effort family dynamic. I'm now writing map books. I didn't know what was needed. I just had an intuitive flash in my office. And I think that's what Jennifer and I are talking about is, I've worked with a lot of people whose parents have passed, or I also had a patient of mine who was killed in a car fire. And I have been able to very much feel the presence of that person when someone next to me is grieving, and I can feel their presence, that they are next door. And I think that we all have these capacities. And I think that we all can open up a lot more if we can alleviate fear. And you alleviate fear by really starting to figure out who you are, right? You have to get to know yourself. That might sound strange to somebody because you're you every day, but I wasn't identified. In fact, for years, I tested out as a 2 on the Enneagram. And I had never tested since I was in my family. The 2 is such a pretty number. Like, oh, let me help everybody. And I think that was authentic to me at the time because it was the job I was given. When I read the 6, I was like, oh, like it's, gosh, kind of a downer. But
Right.
as I really read the 6, I'm like, nah, man, it's spot on. And it's not unfortunate. It is not unfortunate that I am more of a sort of a paranoid or an introvert. I'm kind of worried the bottom's going to fall out. I think that when I did the test, when I was still connected to the family, I wanted to be what they wanted me to be. And I do love helping people. But I definitely thought, well, I want to test these. I still come up INFJ, but the 6 and the INFJ actually are far more in alignment than an INFJ and a 2. So it's, for me, I'm like, well, I'm just peeling away the parts of me that were performative for love, that were very genuine. The desire for that love was so pure. And now I'm getting more into who I really am, right? So I love now the 6. I did a lot more. I did a deeper dive on it to really look at it. And I'm like a 6/6, like I don't got a whole bunch of wings going on. So looking at that was really wonderful. So there's all these different ways. Psychology is only one piece. Having a therapist is one way, doing Reiki is another way, but I hope you do a little bit of everything because we are a multi-dimensional human being. We're not a one floor. We've got multiple floors. And I think that anything that could help, you should pull in. If it's interesting to you, pull it in. If you're excited about something, pull it in. Everything heals. All this art in this room heals me. This is my healing room, right? So whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, financial, even, pull it in. If it can help you, pull it in.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. And like you deep dived into that. And I was telling you the last few months, I've been deep diving into my human design. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I have deep dived into numerology to understand my path, to understand all this stuff. This was honestly the missing key that I didn't have. The missing key. And it literally says, in order to be successful, you must take care of yourself first. You come first, and then you can provide for others. The empowered caretaker. Are you kidding me? My podcast is empowered with, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. I love when science, and what I love about human design, I studied it for 7 years past my PhD. And then the man who created human design died during a class that I was taking. And I was so heartbroken. I just lost touch with it simply because at the time, the other people that took over, there was just no comparison. And how could there be? It wasn't downloaded to them. They're learning it. But I do the very basics. I do like to find out what my patients are, so that if I'm treating someone who's emotional or sensitive, they're very different in human design. I love knowing those differences, so that I'm treating that person according to their thumbprint or their fingerprint and getting into that. But it has been life-changing. My daughter's a different type than I am. It helped me so much in raising her because she's completely different than me energetically. So I just think that knowing this stuff is super exciting. Two, it brings you joy. It brings such a light and a happiness. There are things about psychology that I think we are trained ethically to literally be afraid of our patients.
Interesting.
Right? We have to be afraid of every patient in our office. And I think it's ridiculous. I think that we can have a love for our patients like we would have a love for a friend, right? I think if you're a good psychologist, you know what those boundaries are. Sometimes my patients need a fucking hug, right? I don't want to sit in a room and be afraid of people. I lived that way my whole life. I genuinely care so deeply for every patient that sits in my office. I'm so honored that they chose me. I'm so blessed to have a waiting list. And I think that honestly, more than even my knowledge, which I do know that my knowledge is very specialized, but to feel genuinely cared for is what people want to feel, because at the core, that's what was missing.
It's what is missing.
I'm there to hear.
It's what is missing.
That's right.
In our world.
That what is missing. And so I think that whole piece is like, we are all a part of this process of changing, right? The level of narcissism prior to this year was so frightening. And in every area, we've got to get out of the me and team, right? We're a family. And so how do you fit cutting ties into that? Listen, I absolutely still love my family. I don't like or respect them. Most importantly, I can't be a healthy version of me if they are in my life, but that has no bearing on any love. But I do not keep people in my life that I cannot like and I cannot respect, because if you get kicked out of my life, I have given you a billion chances you probably didn't deserve, right? A billion past already the billions that I'd given. So I know that about me. And I think that it's in their highest good as well, because I will not allow myself to let them become better manipulators by continually manipulating me. I'm not going to be practice for anybody.
Right.
Right. So I think when you get into the cutting of the ties, how does that fit in spiritually? I think that it's all depends on how you look at it. But if you genuinely love anybody in the highest form of love, then there will be discipline associated with that love, period.
Absolutely. At some point, you also have to remember, not you or me, but everyone, we all have to remember that when you are in those toxic situations, 9 times out of 10, you are feeling like you are walking on eggshells. You are the fixer. You're trying to manage everyone else's feelings. In doing so, you're also trying to control the outcome. And in trying to control, inadvertently to protect yourself, but in trying to do that, you're also keeping other people within each scenario from their journey and their lesson.
Yes.
All by trying, and there's, and this is complicated, all by trying to protect yourself. And that was something very huge that I have learned in having stepped away, because I was the child that was parenting numerous parents and different family members and such, right? We've all been there at times. And I think back of like, wow, how many times has somebody said, I'll just do it. I can do it better. I don't have time to deal with you. What if that person needed to do that to learn the lesson and you just took a lesson away from them?
Right. I think you stop there effectively is stop their evolvement. Right. So if you look at it as a life class, boundaries are always designed to keep people in. Hey, you hurt my feelings right here. Oh my God, I'll never hurt your feelings like that again. I'm going to be aware and I won't do that again. So that isn't how toxic people work. Right. I don't think it's not only do we stop their involvement, but we stop our own because we're making decisions out of fear, like you had just said, like we're doing it to protect ourselves. When you're a child and you're food, home, and shelter dependent, please forgive yourself for that. I don't know what other choice you would have had, but I find that most of us cut off in midlife. It's midlife. And I think there's so many interesting reasons. One, the Uranus return, that planet's going to blast anything out that isn't working. And I think that, we're supposed to be role models at some point in our life and to level up into that. Then with women, if you add perimenopause to the mix, our brain is thinning out of billions of neurons leaning out that make us productive. And so women shift from being other-centered to more centered on self during menopause, where we finally get to kind of live a life that is for us and nurture ourselves in the way that we've nurtured everybody else. And it is a brutal transition. I am in the middle of it. And thank God for progressive health stuff, because it's been really helpful for me. But we're all here to develop and to continue developing. And if we are living in fear and enabling abusers, we are not helping them at all, nor are we helping ourselves. But as a child, when you're still dependent, or if you're still there and you're in this habit and you're in this role and you don't know anything else, facing defamiliarization is extremely painful. To make this decision is so hard, but you also break the cosmic egg for everyone involved. Now, whether your toxic family members take their opportunity to learn and evolve, that is not on you. You don't need to feel guilty. Just know that you're giving them a beautiful opportunity to evolve. You've set yourself free from living in a fear-based space, closing your vessel for you to evolve. And now you get to evolve.
Right.
And evolve in some level of freedom, which is such a beautiful thing.
It really is. And the other thing to add to that is not only do those other people have that opportunity to make a choice to now hopefully learn better, do better, you're also healing back 7 generations of your ancestors who are no longer here. And I think that some things that people forget too is when you do take the time to work on yourself and heal yourself, you are healing back those 7 generations. You're also healing perhaps, those people that are no longer in your life inadvertently.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of us are bred to believe like we have to be there, we have to self-sacrifice, blah, blah. No, actually, please self-preserve, because the moment that you choose to go within and heal yourself, you are the ripple effect to everyone around you. We're all energetic beings. That energy goes out. Now, what happens with it and whom does what with it, that's on them. But you're taking care of you. You're doing your ancestral work, whether you realize it or not. And that in and of itself is so powerful.
It really is. I had sort of a magical moment, and I've had so many magical moments over my life that are just undeniable. But my TED Talk caused a little bit of controversy. And so I was dealing with that. I don't want to say anything because I'm not sure what I can say or not. But I was like, okay, I need a sign if this is going to be published. And I thought, well, I've always wondered if my mom's parents approved of what I was doing down here, and family dynamics and all the things. And I was cut out of the family trust that my grandmother left for my daughter's education. My mom thought it'd be good to starve me back. And for those of you that read the book, you know that story. So I just said, okay, well, if it's going to be published, and my grandmother was obsessed with owls, like she had owl wallpaper and like owl throw pillows. And honestly, she kind of looked like an owl. Anyway, so, and I just let it go because I'm like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, this is never going to happen. So I'm packing to go on a trip. It's about 10 o'clock at night. And something flew out of the cupboard and shattered everywhere. And we just had our new puppy. And I'm like, London, come get the puppy. There's stuff everywhere. And she's like, Mom, is this the mug that someone our family gave you? And I was like, I don't know. And she goes, well, it broke. And I looked up and it was a mug that had owls on it that said, love your life. And the way it broke is it broke and one full owl, no missing parts, was broken off the mug. At 10 o'clock at night, I had totally thought it would be ridiculous to even ask for something that specific. And the rest of the mug is downstairs. And I took the owl to my office and it's up in my office. So ironically, 5 days later, I went skiing, came back, and I get a message. Your TED Talk was published today on my mother's birthday.
Such goosebumps because I know what transpired after that. Wow.
So bananas, you can't make it up. And that was my first feeling that I am fully supported in this work. My grandmother was a maverick. My grandfather was a maverick, both surgeons, medical doctors, all the things. And I always wondered, like, am I even getting cursed from above? Because I'm such a 6. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So these moments that happen in your lives, you guys, pay attention because if you just open your vessel, they're available for you all the time. I was driving behind a car the other day and I looked down and it says, angels love you. I mean, what? So these moments are these moments, but I look for them, not actively, but I'm very open to receiving them. And I think if you can open your body and open your vessel and allow this to come in, there's such an amazing intelligence out there that wants for all of our highest goods, right? And I think that nothing you're doing is bad. There's this whole thing around no contact is bad. I feel guilty, all this stuff. What Jennifer said is so true. If you continue to placate, you stop any possibility for their evolvement. So love, in the highest form of love, would then mean boundaries and discipline and self-preservation.
Yes.
Right?
100%. And I want to be clear for everyone listening, because somebody is like, these two, you'll get there. We didn't get there overnight. Like this is a first of all, it is the school of Earth. It's the hardest school to be on. Congratulate yourself for even choosing to be here, let alone in this chaotic time. You're amazing just because of that. With all of this, we're always on this healing journey. It took us time to get to this place. Doesn't mean that we still don't have a trigger or something we're human. It takes time, but we want you to know that as long as you are open and you can go within and love yourself and have that love for yourself and be open to the signs of the universe around you, it's available to you. It doesn't have to be a huge act of God. It can be a mug. It can be a cat. It can be a dog. I had a message like that come through. I went to see a medium. I had someone very close to me pass. And even though I was already speaking with this person, it was just, I was too close. Like I needed to hear it from someone else. Like you're saying, my grandmother came through like a bat. She came flying in and said, I've watched you. I saw what you did. I saw what you sacrificed. It's getting fixed. I mean, you have to be open to the license plates, to what's being said in the Hallmark movie, to whatever it is. If you can, when you become that's being in alignment with flow, with the universe.
It really is. And I think that this is a quantum physics universe. This is not woo-woo. This can all be proven with quantum physics, the laws of attraction, or, asking for miracles. And we don't have to suffer to receive them. I think some of the ways that, maybe Jennifer and I ended up in this sort of existential spiritual path is that nothing here on earth was working to answer my damn questions. Nothing here on earth was helping me. Nothing was helping me. I had to reach beyond something else. Honestly, this is like a little embarrassing because it's so private, but I started believing in God from freaking Yoda on Star Wars.
Whatever it takes.
I was 7 years old and my dad, of all people, took me and I went to it 7 times. And my favorite part, and I understand it now, I didn't understand it then, is Luke lands in the swamp and he gets stuck. with R2-D2, and he meets Yoda for the first time. And Yoda was like squishy and safe and green and rare and his little things. And I love stuffed animals. I didn't love dolls.
Me too.
I had all weird Barbies. I just drew all weird Barbies. I loved stuffies and I had stuffed animals everywhere. And I'm an avid animal lover today, but I recognized that Luke at 7 years old, imagine how young that is. I recognized that Luke had to face his pain alone because Yoda made him go into the forest thing or the weeds of the swamp. And he found out that Darth Vader was his dad, right? But he had to go alone. And so I always felt after that, like I have to do everything alone. And then my dad was like, this Bible verse was, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Right. And that kind of, I don't know any more of it, but I know that part. And I was always so terrified as a child. And I started believing in that way. And then there was just all this evolvement and throughout my life. And I know that I got through some things I did not want to get through. And I had to look outside of what was available into something much deeper. And I just intuitively knew that there was, or I would not be here. I promise you. I was very, very suicidal in 5th grade. Okay. I don't know how, but I would pray to die. So then when I would wake up, I would have a hard time believing that there was a God that would let any child suffer like this. But I knew something and I just kept going. And I was lost, you guys. I was lost for so long, so long. I know I'm all together now, or it might seem that way to you. But at the end of the day, it took a lot of loss to get found. Jennifer, what do you want to leave people with today?
I want people to know that you are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment in time. Be present. Be open to the miraculous moments that are around you that perhaps you've missed at this moment, and not realizing that you really are meant to be where you are in this moment. If you weren't meant to be there, you wouldn't be there. There is a greater force around you that is with you and guiding you, and just be open to that.
It does make it a lot less of a lonely journey, because I think survivors, we've had to do it all on our own. And really, we've never had to be. But if you don't call on something higher, it can't answer. So call on it, open your vessel, because healing is yours and it's possible. And absolutely so is happiness and joy and fairies and all the things. It's all available to you, right? So Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on Sherapy Sessions. This was such a good conversation.
Thank you so much.
I would love to have you on again. I really, really enjoyed it. And we'll put all the links to your stuff. So make sure you send those to me. And all right, my little brave hearts, until next week, be well and take care of you. Well, brave hearts, that concludes our amazing Sherapy session for the day. Please sign up on my email list at drsherrycampbell.com so that you can be in touch with me and see what's going on in terms of what I'm offering soon, what books are coming out, etc. Talk to you in a couple of weeks.